As a multi-sport athlete, Bob Allen's extensive career involved a number of sports, including hockey, football, softball, and tug of war. Bob played minor hockey in Durrow and Warsaw, where he captained the Warsaw Red to 2 Juvenile D OMHA championships in 1957 and 58, and won 2 Junior D OMHA titles in 59 and 60. He played with the Warsaw Intermediates in the East Peterborough Hockey League, a number of years in other local leagues, and CGE Shop League hockey, winning the scoring title 3 times. Bob also played old-timers hockey until the age of 70. At St. Peter High School, Bob played junior and senior football as a halfback and was a member of the Junior CASA Championship team in 1956. Following high school, he played 3 years with the Peterborough Intermediate Orphans Football Club. In men's city softball, he was both catcher and manager for Norm Bowlers, winning 2 league titles in 67 and 69. Bob was a member of the 66, 67, and 68 CGE Championship tug of war team. He has given back to sports in many ways. A football official for 10 years, introduced minor soccer and t-ball to Durrow Township, coached soccer in Durrow and Peterborough, coached minor hockey in Otonabee and Durrow, taking the Pee Wee team to the 1980 OMHA Finals. He was the driving force in the Durrow Community Center in 1980. Bob Allen has dedicated his life to the betterment of his community, not only in sports, but by being an active member on numerous municipal boards, organizations, as a member of the Township of Durrow Council from 1970 to 1985, Councillor Deputy Reeve, and appointed Peterborough County Warden in 1983. In his role as Township CAO and Treasurer, Bob continued to prioritize growth of local sports in his community. Bob Allen, thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
So that's a very extensive bio.
It's well rolled out,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a lot of things that I've did. Is deal up to them, but that's good.
So a lot of it is right where you grew up, right?
Yeah.
So everything's focused on, I guess, trying to give other people the same sorts of experiences that you had a chance to have when you were young.
Pretty much. My family has been very supportive, and I born and raised on a farm in Durrow, and that's kind of there's things you had to do on the farm, and when you're done with that, you can go and play hockey and do something else.
How far did you have to travel to get to a hockey rink or a soccer field or a
That's
baseball
a good
rink?
question. And back then there was no rinks there. Except the Warsaw rink, which is 8 miles away. We had some ponds of water that we used very much for training, skating, and all that kind of thing.
Mhm.
And we even went down and played on the Indian River. And the people in the area, my age, when we used to get together and play, just when we were midget, we started a hockey team, and it has things I could tell you about.
Yeah. So you started as an organized team playing on the river and ponds, and then you formed a team out of that?
Yeah, on the ponds. We
Okay.
didn't have a rink or anything. We had a number of children that played, and me being one, and a couple of guys kind of coached the hockey team and helped out on it. And we put a team together as a midget team, and we played against teams in the areas, Apsley, Warsaw, and those types of teams. And ironically enough, it was the first game we played. We went to Apsley to play against Apsley, and Apsley they beat us 16-2. And you might know the name. Murray McCormick scored 12 goals, and Brown, they went and played Toronto. He got 4 goals.
Okay.
Before the season was over, we beat that team. So we came along pretty good, but Warsaw, I think, won the league that year.
How did you guys organize your games and practices on the ponds and rivers?
Well, we didn't have any home ice.
Yeah.
We used Warsaw. And there was Actually, the river, we cleaned the ice off, the snow off the ice, and played and practiced and played for hours.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, the water wasn't that deep because I fell through one time. It was more than about 2 feet of water there, but it was good ice, and all the people that I played with were very, very good people, and they all were brought up the same type of way, and I think it's a good thing for young people to get in that type of thing, and all the bad things you can get into otherwise.
Is there a specific spot on the river that you remember where you guys would all go?
Yeah, it was down just below Devlin's farm. I don't know if you knew where Devlin's were. It was in behind where Devlin's house is. The river ride went by.
Mm-hmm.
And we would go down there, and everybody would be there to help us snow off, and then we'd play hockey.
Okay. Same with the ponds, at the same spots?
Yeah.
They're all still there today?
No, well, some areas are, some of the grounds have been changed, the ponds are not there, but the ice used to be good then, it was handy, because you didn't have to walk over the river, right?
Mm-hmm. So you led the GE League in scoring a handful of times.
Yeah.
So what type of player were you?
Well, there's a lot of good players played hockey and worked in GE. And I was with Bud McDougall and a few guys that were excellent hockey players, and that helps when you have a good player with you. And I was fortunate to win the scoring, but it was a good league. It was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Roger Wilson played goal. I don't know if you remember him or not. And there was good players, real good players.
And I take that back to when you started. Who got you started to get to that point on the rivers and the ponds? Who like got you your first pair of skates and got you out playing hockey?
Yeah. Well, my first skates was actually my oldest brother bought them for me, and that was a very nice prize for me at the time, and I learned to skate somewhat. He was an athlete that way. He played all the sports, and that's where we kind of started. And Sunday was a day where everybody gathered, and we went down, cleaned the ice off, played push hockey on the.
So was everything just self-taught then? Once you started playing around on the pond and river?
I think much.
Was everything for you self-taught?
Yeah. It was for the first, till we got into more organized hockey later. After the first season of the team, that we had no home ice or anything, but we enjoyed it.
So there's your winters covered. It's hockey. In the other seasons when the ice wasn't there, what were you doing for the most part? Was it going to be baseball, football?
Well, I played softball with the City League, Peterborough. I played for a number of teams, and then I played with Norm Bowler's team, and I was the manager of the team and the catcher of the team. We had some good pitchers, Jimmy Fife. We had Jim Sleep Doc. You know whether you heard him or not. He's an athlete from Hobart that used to come to play.
Okay.
We had good teams. Gary Delladay played third base for me, and we had a good hockey ball team, and you have to win the league.
Well, you were a catcher and manager, so
I was a catcher and manager, but I had another guy that was a catcher, and he probably caught more games than I did. Yeah.
So the game plan was something that was coming from you for the most part. Just calling out.
Yeah, we had other guys that were on the bench too to help us. But I was the manager of the team.
Okay, so what did that entail for you?
Well, it was bringing who should play on the team and who shouldn't. We had to sign them up, and we had to pick a team that would try to win for us.
Yeah. Where did you get your start in softball?
That was done in the country when we just go to a ball field and play ball, trying to learn a little bit about it, and then my brother, he was with city league team, and I went in and started playing second base with them, and that's the first when we first started.
When was the first time you actually used a baseball glove?
Probably when I was 10, 12, 13.
Okay, so and as a catcher, I'd imagine you always have a baseball glove. But
Yeah.
for you, just those adjustments when you go from just playing again, this is similar to your hockey story, I guess. You're playing on the ponds and fields to an organized league. What was the main difference for you there?
Going to the
Just going from almost just freestyle playing with your friends on a pond or in a field to a league that's more organized.
Yeah, it was more organized, and we had coaches looking after us, and we played organized hockey a little better, and got to learn the game a lot more than we played when we played in the swamp.
Now, what drew you to football in high school?
I'm sorry.
What brought you to play football in high school?
Well, I think I have to look at my brother, my oldest brother, who's not alive now. He was a top athlete with football, and I started at high school in grade 9, and I played for St. Peter's at Casa. We won Casa that year, and I was halfback. And I followed in and threw the football out the next year, senior football. Near the end of what the schools were running, we used to play for I played for the Peterborough Orphans. And 2 or 3 other guys that I had were friends with went down there. We played for the Peterborough Orphans, and they were. This was more after they had won some trophies and everything. They had a lot of good players left, and but we enjoyed it.
So in Canadian football, there's a defensive halfback and an offensive halfback. Which side of the ball were you on?
I was on the offensive side most of the time.
All right.
But if they were short, you wouldn't play defense too.
Okay. There's something that actually you got to tell me this. Maybe you know this, maybe you don't. But the name Orphans, it's ORFUNS. Do you know what the name of the Orphans actually signifies?
I don't really know. There used to be an orphanage, whether it was following that was the name it came from. I don't know, but there was it was Peterborough Orphans for years.
Well, I'm sure someone in the Hall of Fame will give us the information on that.
Yeah, that's true.
And the championships that you won, I know there are the championships with Warsaw and hockey. What other ones were there that stand out to you?
Well, the Casa football and the City League softball. Pretty much they were where we had won. We played a lot of other sports too, and didn't win. But I don't know. Hockey was such that we had some good players. I played with Bill Keating all the way through, and he was an excellent skater and a hockey player. Wayne Tedford played for us, and we pretty well played the whole 4 years together with us. And there was some changes because of the age and because of that. And the man that set up the Warsaw Redmond was Mel Woods, and he's not living today, but he was he was quite a worker to put the team together and bring in new players. And when we were short in playing, we had to fill in some areas where there were short players, and it worked out. You could have so many imports, and a couple of guys from Peterborough played. Murray McCormick played. He was a good hockey player for a while, and we had we won 4 championships, and one of the championships we won is it was a 2-game best score to win, eh? So
You
we
had-
played the first team.
It was all so over the course of 2 games. It was just you had to have the better score, so it was just a long game.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
But we played the first game, and we had a goalie by the name of Bernie Devlin who played goal, and he got hit with the puck and really hurt, and he had to get out of the goal, and we had to put Bill Keating in goal, and we lost the game by 4 goals. And when we played back home against them, we beat them by 6 goals.
Okay.
It was offensive hockey.
More fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we enjoyed it.
You mentioned all these names
Yeah.
that you clearly remember, and you had experiences with them through multiple years. You won with these people. Which championship was the best celebration afterwards? Could have been any sport, but which one stands out to
Probably
you?
the hockey because we were young and enjoyed it. But I think the biggest thing for me is that the people that I have met over the years and played with were real nice people, and I think it was a good road to go for children, because you don't into drugs and every other thing that you shouldn't be at, and they would play hockey, and that was their fun. Eh?
Yeah. What sort of reception did you get from the community in Peterborough and Warsaw after you guys would win?
You mean the support?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, they a lot of people. We had games for the rink was full in Warsaw with people from both places.
Wow.
Yeah, it was great. It was interesting, and it was good to have a winning team because it seemed to draw people. You know, the latter end of the year, we couldn't play the playoffs because Warsaw didn't have artificial ice at the time.
Yeah.
So we played our final game at Civic, Civic Arena when I was there.
Brock Street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, there's a picture there.
Where's the Civic Arena? So the Civic Arena is
Park Street.
Park Street. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Sorry.
All right.
Yeah. And just for the final games, eh? We played on and sometimes we played on the ice, and there was holes in the ice. You couldn't play anymore.
You just had to dodge them.
Yeah.
Okay. And now there are some things that are leading up to this, but we mentioned tug of war earlier, but you were a back catcher, so usually lower center of gravity individuals, or you're a halfback, again, same thing. That lend itself to, this is at CGE, but the tug of war is in a Hall of Fame bio for the first time that I've ever seen.
Is it? Well, I'll
tell
tell
me
you
how
about
that
it.
happened, yeah.
I worked in machine shop, number 10 building in GE, and I had served my apprenticeship and been working there, and they each year the GE had a picnic at
Nichols Oval? Yeah.
Nichols Oval.
Okay, yeah.
And they decided to have a tug of war
All right.
for the people that wanted, and there was two different categories. One was the heavy people, oldest, not the oldest, but the way more, eh?
Sure.
The other one was they had to be 200 pounds, and that was another team that we didn't play against, but they were a pretty strong little team too. But anyway, we had a machine shop.
Okay.
They went around and picked out the biggest guys they could, and they're not the biggest, but tough.
Sure, yeah.
And anyway, I was fortunate one to be picked, and there was Gord Beatty was there. He was involved in it too at the team I was on, and we had won the thing in the Oval.
Now, you gotta tell me more about this as well. Is there a strategy in tug of war, or is it just pull hard?
No, there's a strategy, and you know, the people would have work boots on, and they'd dig the holes in the ground, you know, and they'd make you move out of that and start on a new piece, soil that you won't have holes in. They both teams had the same.
How many people on each side?
8.
8. Where were you in the line?
About fourth.
Okay. Now what does that mean?
Well,
Around the end or in the middle?
I think they put you in, but it depends on your height.
Okay.
Because you don't want somebody ahead of you with the rope up there and one below you
That makes
behind you.
sense.
No way. So you try to get them.
Want to pull down?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Things I
there
never
was-
thought of.
It wasn't a sport that we had to, GE, at GE, at noon hours, we used to go out and pull train on the track.
Was this
That's
for
what
work
we were
or for fun?
practicing.
Oh, was this something that actually had to happen?
No, they just, the guy that was trying to run the team,
Yeah.
he took wanted everybody to go to noon hour, and after you have your lunch, and we'll all pull to practice pulling together.
Hmm.
That's kind of the key too,
Yeah.
You can pull and hold and hold, then you all go.
Guys just look like Popeye with big forearms after that.
Pardon me? Yeah,
Yeah.
it was actually, some people got hurt because of it, on their back too,
Mhm.
so they had to kind of cut it out.
So,
Yeah.
yes, I guess that would never happen. Never happen with workplace injuries these days.
That's true.
That would never happen.
That's true, yeah.
But it's too bad. It sounds like it was a good time for you guys.
Oh, it was, hey, we had it in the Nichols Oval, and the crowd of people who come to watch you, hard to believe.
Mm-hmm.
There was all kinds of people there watching it.
Wow.
It's a new thing, eh?
What was the celebration then there at Nichols Oval? I know what the rugby club wasn't there at that time, right?
No.
So there was no place, there was no bar, but what was the celebration like at the picnic?
Well, they had places where they had food and stuff.
Mhm.
I don't think there was any bars or anything.
Mhm.
But they, and it's quite a crowd.
Wow.
GE then had 6,000 people working,
Yeah.
eh?
Mhm.
Whereas today there's nothing like that.
Mm-hmm. So everything that you've done, it's again centered around the people being there in the community. So the crowds that are gathered to watch you
Yeah.
do that, the crowds that are gathered at your hockey games, the people that taught you the sports,
Yeah.
and that led you to found the Duro Community Center, be part of the building of the Duro Community Center in 1980.
Well, that's another thing I can talk to you about. I just want to say before we go there that the people that I had played hockey with and played any of these sports with were great people. So there's no question. They were all friends when we were all with me, and it's quite a. It was, in my opinion, there's a lot of people that saved their lives to have some kind of a thing to go to rather than, getting in trouble and all
Yes, you have all these people that you obviously cared about, so you were a driving force into getting a community center built for more people to
Yeah.
enjoy sports just the same way you did.
that. Yeah, but no, let me tell you first. The Duro Park, there was no ball field in Duro.
Mm-hmm.
And I was on council at the time, and the township was considering getting some property where they could have something like that. And they, the property in the counts it takes in Indian River was up for sale,
Mm-hmm.
and the river runs down through the property, and there's property on both sides. The township, we had put money away for recreation purposes. A lot of municipalities don't do that, but they do have some kind of a place where they have some money for
Mm-hmm.
recreation and that type of thing. So anyway, we had some money, and we tried to buy the property. We moved the motion that we buy the property, and we did. And the government paid half of it, which is a good government say then. Anyway, the township then took it over, and they have two ball diamonds on it, and a soccer field which we didn't have like anything like that around.
Mhm.
And the river is there. There's a place where people swim.
Yeah.
So it's a picnic area too. So it's unfortunate just the way things are going right now. There's not much going on there, but that's what it was. The township bought it and belongs to the township. That's the park. There are two ball diamonds there.
Yeah.
And one was for mixed ball and old timers slow pitch.
Mhm.
The other's for competitive ball, softball. The other activity that when I was on council, we were worked on to do our community center.
Mhm.
There was a community center in Warsaw for the ice, a small arena, and we wanted to consider something for a local community there for not just an arena, a hall,
Okay.
and for the community, and the township again had some money settled for recreation purposes, and we moved a motion to try to get the permission to build an arena. We went through courses of government grants, and we sent a note into the minute province that we were interested in an arena and wanted to get a program where they help you out. And anyway, they sent back and give us an answer that said they weren't going. So as I was Reeve at the time, and I asked Cleta Sullivan, who's clerk treasurer, and I said, I want the council to support a letter to the cabinet minister. Reuben Bates was the member of parliament, to go, that we wanted to go and have a meeting with him and everything. And we did that. And he entertained us pretty good. And when we left, he didn't, of course, give us an answer, but he said, you can tell the way the milk is running. But anyway, we got the funding, and we had we raised $100,000 and some in a gamble aid for a car.
Okay.
And the township had so much money, and the province paid some money. Now today, it costs a lot more.
Yes. Yeah. What sense of pride do you get when you drive by or you see the facilities?
I think it's an ideal center. It's right on the highway there. Everybody know where it is.
Yep.
And it's got a lot of potential.
Mm-hmm.
Like I understand Peterborough going all the way to Camelford and Millbrook and all those places. They're good arenas. We have an arena that if it wasn't used all the time, we could use it, but I don't know. You got to have good managers to look after. George Ellis was the manager for one time. Do you remember George?
Yeah, we talked.
Well, he was a good manager. He really looked after things. And back then you could rent the hall and you could make money, but now it's ice. All you have is ice and people renting house, and they don't really anymore pay for it. It costs a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. Just to maintain it now.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, for you, again, when you see those places, do you take your family by and you tell them the stories about how they got built?
I think they all know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's they know, and my children played some in it, and it was a community arena and hall, and I think it's a good thing for the community.
What does sports mean to you? What do sports mean to you?
Well, I think it's a good way for people to turn out as after they grow up to be matured. They have did things things that didn't really send them into trouble. And I really believe that sports is a big supporter of trouble for kids. And I don't know, some are don't get involved at all, and you can sure tell what they are out there.
Mm-hmm. Now, for you, what does it mean? I know elected 2020. What did it mean for you? You haven't had the ceremony, but what does it mean to be in the Peterborough District Sports Hall of Fame?
I think it's really I really appreciate the association putting my name in here and work. To tell you who had some input in mine is George Sullivan.
Mm-hmm.
He was sitting in here in this Hall of Fame, and he said you should have their name in there too. I said, well, I never played any child hockey or anything like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, he supported it, and he said the people here have been just great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think it's a good organization, and it sure keeps the community alive, and you know, people want to hear talk about history and sports and whatever, they can come here and find it too.
I agree with you. Well, and Bob, thank you so much for sharing your stories with me.
Hey, thank you, people. You did a good job. I'm very rewarded the way you wrote up things for me.